How do we use our knowledge of form to teach a piece and have our students learn it as quickly as possible? Well, first we have to understand the sections of the piece, what material is repeated, and how we can break it down, deconstruct it, teach it to them, reconstruct it, and put it all back together. So I'm going to give an overview of the general form. When we start off, we have this cascaded entrance here. Then we have our introductory theme, which is 4 measures long. We have a linking phrase here that has some elision. Then we have our 4-measure phrase again, another linking phrase, and then we get into our canon, or round, however you would like to describe that. The canon is 20 measures of unique material, and I like to break it down into 5 4-measure sections and work on 4 measures of it at a time. Okay, but generally speaking, the unique material ends for after rehearsal E. Then we have some unique material that takes us in here to F. Some of it we've seen before, like from rehearsal B. Some of it is developed material from earlier on in the canon, and some of it's new. But it takes us back to F, where we have our cascaded theme again, just like we did at the beginning, and then we have our 4-measure introductory theme again, and molto ritardando to the end. Okay? So the cascade happens twice. It's really not a big deal. They just play E's and B's, and it should be easy to put together. The introductory theme is pretty cool. It happens 3 times in this piece, and it uses some modality. It uses some like parallelism to make it sound cool, where we have these like parallel fifths here, C to G and then D to A, and you know we've got some non-traditional voice leading, which works fairly well here because you know we're trying to create the elements of fiddling in here also a little bit, and so it's sort of a reference to that. It has more of a folk type voice leading structure to it instead of common practice era voice leading. But at B, it's, you know, very intellectual, you know, it's a canon, you know, and students like that. If we want to learn this as fast as possible, you know, the intro, theme, the cascade, all that stuff, it's going to pretty much work itself out. We don't need to spend too much time because it reoccurs. So what we want to do is we want to start at B for first violins, 4 after B for seconds and violas, and then start at C for our low string so that everybody's playing the same thing at the same time. Now, I'll have the students start off just learning the left hand, and I'll have them play everything pizzicato so that they can just pluck through it, just four measure sections at a time, starting with the first 4 measures and then stop. Okay, have them do that a couple of times, make sure they're getting the right finger patterns. They do have some low 2s on the A string, and if you didn't work on finger patterns going into it, that might be a mistake, so you might want to work on your minor pattern, your low 2 pattern on the A string, major pattern on the D string, major pattern on the G string, so that everybody knows what's going on. No accidentals, so it's going to be that way the whole time. Right, so have them pluck the first 4 measures of wherever they come in a couple times, okay, maybe 3 times if they need it, okay. Then have them start to shadow bow. Have them shadow bow a time or 2, maybe 3 times, okay. Then have them play on the string, and you know, have them listen, correct mistakes, correct pitch, correct whatever. Have them do it again. Have them do it again. Okay, when they get it, great. Let's move on to the next 4 measures. Okay, so for first violins, that's going to be 5 after B. And for second violins and violas, it's going to be C. And for cello bass, it's going to be 5 after C. I use the same process. Have them pluck it until they're comfortable. Have them shadow bow it. Make sure the bows are doing the right stuff. Then have them play it on the string until it starts to sound good, okay? Then I put those 2 sections together. And when they're comfortable with that, then I move on to the next section, pizzicato, shadow bow, arco. The next section, pizzicato, shadow bow, arco, put those together, and then add the 5th section, you know, pizzicato, shadow bow, arco, and then try to put it all together and see what happens. Now, when I have them put it all together, I have them put it all together in unison again, or octaves, depending on what section we're talking about. And I don't start having them play it as a round or as a canon yet. I just see if everybody can play all 25 measures and get from the beginning to the end and hold tempo and use good bow distribution, all that good stuff. Otherwise, we got to pick spots and tweak them. Okay. Then when I start to turn it into a round, I'll have my first violin start first, and then I will have viola, cello, bass still play homogeneously, having my second violin's violas are going to play just as written, but I'm going to have my cellos and basses start in the 4 measures later in the piece. I'm going to have them start 5 measures after B, so they're going to rest 4, and then they're going to come in with the violas and cellos, just to see what happens when a section starts playing independently. Once they get comfortable with that and they start getting used to those harmonies, then we can split it up into 3 parts and see what happens there. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and look at E and see what's going on when the canon starts to break down. So before E, first violins are resting, so that kind of helps. We've got some of this material at E, which resembles this part here at C. Then we have this linking measure here, and then we've got these eighth notes. Have we seen these eighth notes before? I mean, kind of. We've seen the second set of eighth notes here in the introductory theme in first violins. But the first set here is unique material as far as I can tell. We have something kind of like it before D, but not really. But it's easier because we can play the open A's and then 1 low 2 open, and then we should kind of have a feeling for this since we've already played it. Okay, what else is going on at E? Well, we've got an extension of the material at C. We've got it 3 times, and this does mess up the bowings, and I'll talk about that in the next video, but we got to figure something out here. But then we've got this material following it, and this material that follows it actually comes from before D here. It's just approached by 2 A's, which I would play 4th finger. Okay? Okay, this is the end of the canon. Then we've got some unique material in the low strings here. This part right here comes from rehearsal B, which is the beginning of the canon or round. And then this is a development of that material. So we can see that it just doubles up on this stuff. And then right here, that material comes from here, 4 after B. So they should already know that. But it might help to point it out to them. Okay, and then we take crescendo here, cascade back up, and then close it out with the A theme. Okay, so going over E and showing them where the material comes from, if it does in fact come from someplace else, or in the case of the low strings, it's something extra to learn. But making those connections should make your students learn the music faster. So if you do that and you put it together efficiently and you have fairly sharp kids, they should be able to learn this piece fairly quickly. 20, 30 minutes wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. Just to be able to play through it beginning to end. I'm not talking about absolutely refined and everything, but they'll be able to play through it reasonably well. Okay, so we're not done here. We've got other things to do to make sure that we can get it to that first division, that superior level. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about bow placement and some of the bowing things that might trip up your students and make this piece a lot harder to play. So I hope to see you in the next one so that because right now we've got everything more or less down with the left hand, and now we're going to work on the right hand to make some music out of this. So see you next time.